And with that, I'm excited to introduce our next presenter on today's MegaCast. Welcome, Mr. Dave Henry, Product Marketing Manager at Hubstore. Dave, are you there?
I am. Thank you very much. So,
great to have you, Dave. Take it away.
All right, we'll do. So everybody, I know everybody's time is valuable. I know there's a lot going on, especially just because it's 2020. So thank you for taking the time to spend with us. Your time is a valuable resource. I'm going to do what I can to make sure we're making the best use of it. And, okay, there we go. I figured out slide advancement now here. So our presentation is about why Hubstore is such a smart place for data protection. Before we get into that, let me give you a little background on me so you know who you're listening to. My name is Dave Henry. I am Product Marketing Manager at Hubstore. I have been earning a living full-time in IT since January of 1987. So I've picked up a couple things along the way. I've worked in a lot of different data centers, and I've been hands-on with multiple different cloud platforms. And I am the technical guy on the Hubstore market. So first, let me say a little bit about Hubstore's background. I'll keep this stuff quick and then get to the actual solution stuff, and so we'll spend most of the time there. Hubstore was founded 5 years ago. We're based out of Ottawa, Canada. And we started from the ground up by our two co-founders. So because of this, Hubstore has no outside investors, no loans, and no debt. This was a large part of my decision to join the company, actually, because what's better than focusing on engagement with the customers, finding out what they need, and on the technology itself, finding out where the customers are going, rather than doing things that will improve, earnings per share or something like that, or do something that the investors think is important. So our business has grown based on our engagement with our customers, looking to what they'll be doing next, continually innovating using an agile development model, and producing high-quality software that has an intuitive and easy-to-use interface. So a quick snapshot of where Hubstore is at right now. Our cloud data management platform is currently managing dozens of billions of our customers' objects, and that number just keeps growing. Many of our clients are backing up and archiving dozens of petabytes of data with us, and the amount of data continues to grow. As we all know, it's practically a law of physics that the amount of data you're storing just continues to increase. Since our start, we've actually been able to keep up with a 70% year-over-year growth rate, which, let's face it, is fantastic in any industry. And we've got hundreds of customers, including 2 in the Fortune 100. You probably recognize at least a couple of the logos that you see on the page here. I'm going to take a moment to talk about one of our customers in particular. I don't know if you saw it, but recently Virgin Hyperloop had their first test drive with live passengers. They didn't get up to the full 600 mile per hour speed that they're looking for, but they're getting there. So you can see from the quote here, I'm not going to insult you by reading it to you, but you can see that they're pretty happy with us. They have well over 100 terabytes of data with us, and with all their engineering and tests that they're running, the data just grows daily. Hubstore has streamlined their backup and archive needs through automation, which allows them to focus on their engineering efforts instead of on IT and data protection. We also support their legal and IT security workflows for protection of their intellectual property and also with compliance audits. So data has truly become the lifeblood of modern businesses, and with that, protecting that data is one of the more important priorities for any business that's going to want to, which I'm assuming is all business. Of course, there's more than one approach to data protection that businesses can use, but everyone wants the best protection as cost effectively as possible. So let's take a look at an analogy. Instead of data protection, think about transportation protection. Automobile owners have two main options for this. First, when you purchase a car, you could buy a second one. So you always have one on standby ready to go in case your primary car fails for some reason. The one downside of that one is it doubles the cost of your initial investment. So the second option, and far more popular since it saves you both money as well as garage space, car owners can buy car insurance. If you have an automobile policy that covers the cost of a rental car, in case your car is unavailable for any reason, you have protected your access to transportation. The better thing about this is that this option is just a small incremental increase above your original investment. So similarly, having a good solid backup and recovery solution gives you data insurance, or if the data is really the organization's lifeblood, it gives you business insurance. Going the insurance route is also more flexible. My insurance company offers a discount if I pay for the entire year up front, but I also have the option of paying monthly. Similarly, Hubstore offers both subscription pricing and no contract pay-as-you-go pricing, allowing you to choose the option that best suits your company's. So IT has changed certainly changed a bunch since I started, but it's even changed within the last 5 years or 3 years. The modern IT is looking at staying up to date so that it can keep and meet the needs of those modern businesses. With that, enterprises need modern data protection that has been built for the ways that they're using their data center. So the old way back in the days, enterprise data centers were for supporting large monolithic servers running huge monolithic applications or databases. The focus was on the hardware, your physical servers, your physical networks, and the data center was really another cost center. So enterprises these days are doing things a little differently. Many have adopted virtual first or even cloud first policies. The focus is on application delivery, provided independently of the hardware. Developers and users often don't know, or quite frankly even care, what server or storage they're using. They just care that they're able to access the resources when they want to use them. Enterprises were already increasing their adoption of software as a service or SaaS applications, even before 2020 brought us this current increase in the number of remote workers. For enterprises, it's easy to feel. Let me try that one again. For enterprises, it's easy to see the appeal of these SaaS applications. No need to secure a license key for every user or to worry about updating every device. So, last thing about the modern data centers, today we have software-defined everything. Software-defined storage, networks, and even entire data centers. The data center has shifted from being a cost center to providing a value add to your business processes. So to meet the needs of data centers that are relying on the as-a-service model, Hubstore provides our customers with backup as a service and archive as a service. Our cloud data platform automatically keeps your data safe based on the profiles that you specify, and it provides automatic enforcement of the 3-2-1 golden rule of backup. For anyone who's not familiar with the 3-2-1 backup strategy, what it basically just means is that you should have at least 3 copies of your data. The copy that you're using in production counts as 1 copy, so you'd also need to have 2 backup copies. Your data should be stored on 2 different media. In the past, a lot of organizations met this requirement using disk and tape. Today, more organizations are using disk to cloud, or even one cloud to another cloud, or just to a different region within a cloud to meet this requirement. And lastly, at least 1 copy of your data should be stored off-site. The old data center organizations would satisfy this rule by copying data to tape and then shipping the tapes off-site to a warehouse like Iron Mountain. Modern data centers meet this requirement by using the cloud. HubStor keeps your data secure. We're protecting it from theft through end-to-end encryption, and we use immutable storage to protect it from being changed, whether that change is accidental, malicious, or even just due to simple bit rot. Hubstore's cloud data platform protects your data better, easier, and a lot more cost-effectively than other systems. So let's look at how Hubstore provides this advanced data protection to our customers. You can see on the right there, we have the different elements of our data platform. On the left, that kind of divided up our capabilities into 4 areas where we can add real value to any organization. So first and foremost, we provide advanced data protection to your on-premises environment, whether it's physical or virtual. This includes servers, shared storage, and virtual machines running on either Hyper-V or vSphere. So I'm going to walk through the typical data flow. I don't have a pointer that I can use, so you're going to have to please just bear with me. So over in the Hubstore data platform box in the upper left, everything starts with that Hubspot Web App. That is where you point your browser to access our management console, regardless of how many different data sources you're backing up with Hubstore. For example, you might be backing up both your file server and your vSphere VMs. You use a single unified console for all monitoring and management tasks. To secure that access, if you see in the upper right-hand corner of the platform, we use Azure Active Directory authentication. Multi-factor authentication is available for folks who want that additional layer of security. So it's through the console that you set up your backup policy. What would be backed up, the frequency of backups, et cetera, as well as your retention and tiering policies. How long to keep which data, and which data should be automatically migrated to a less expensive storage tier, and that sort of thing. When a backup job runs, you'll see here, both in the lower left corner of the Hubstore data platform, but also between your data center and us, the Hubstore capture and backup services connect to your data source, and we copy all data that has changed since the last backup. We use that to create a synthetic full, so you both have the option of just doing those incremental restores, or a real disaster has struck and you need to restore everything. We've got you covered. So we grab that data, and then that data is compressed before we copy it into, we're back on the platform, right there in the middle, our binary large object, or blob storage. So one note, Hubstore's backup is agentless, which is especially key in virtual environments. As with Hubstore, there's no need to install software on each and every VM, and the backup jobs don't use any of the VM's compute or memory resources. The backups have no impact on VM performance. For virtual environments, you can set policies at any level, whether it be the data center, cluster, host, or even per individual VM. The big advantage of this is that new VMs you create will be automatically protected. For example, if you have a backup policy for the entire cluster, any VMs created within that cluster will automatically have that backup policy applied to them without your needing to take any steps. So there's no need to go out and set up auto discovery to go again. There's no need to add a machine to a list or to install any software on that new VM. So you can sleep easy knowing that all your VMs are protected. Once that backup data is in our cloud, so look over back at that blob storage area there. So once we've got it, we deduplicate that data and compress it before we encrypt it and write it to storage. So the compression lowers your cost per gigabyte, and of course the encryption protects your data from prying eyes. Once the data is stored, you see in the lower right-hand corner of the Hubstore data platform, our indexing service runs through the data, creating a search index, which is stored in SQL. This indexing process is applied to all data, no matter what its source. This not only provides you with blazingly fast search results, but it allows you to run a search across all of your data with a single query. This can be especially important during an audit, or if there's any reason for a legal hold. Instead of having to run one search on your VM backup, another search for your file server backup, another search on your SaaS applications, You can do all of it from one single query through the console. And I'm going to talk about one last thing about our content indexing that I see people often overlooking. So that's the transcription service. Hubstore will automatically create transcriptions of any audio and video files we back up. Those transcriptions are added to the search index. That will give you more thorough search results. So, for example, if for some reason our legal department wants to put a legal hold on anything with the name Dave Henry in it, even if I was in a Teams meeting and that was recorded, so even though my name is not in any of the tags for the file or it's not in the title of the file, it will still bring up that recording as one of the things that is in fact a hit on the search. So that is, I don't know, that's just something I think a lot of people look over, so you want to make sure you're aware of that. So we also provide advanced data protection for your public cloud with, infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, or platform as a service, so PaaS. Your data is stored outside. So yeah, basically, this is your public cloud data that is stored somewhere other than in your own data center. Someone else is storing it for you. So this includes today Azure Blob Storage, Azure Files, Azure VMs, and AWS S3 storage, as well as a few other providers. It's worth noting that we do everything we can to have our backups minimize any data egress costs for you. For example, if you're using Azure as your platform of choice, you'll incur 0 egress charges, as your data will remain within the boundaries of Azure at all times. We also provide advanced data protection for your SaaS applications, your software as a service. This includes Microsoft 365, Box, Slack, and Google Drive, among a couple others. This is your mission-critical data that someone else is storing within their platform. It makes protecting that data even more critical since you aren't the one responsible for keeping the production copy of that data protected. So we have provided support for Microsoft 365. This used to be called Office 365 until about 8 months ago. Microsoft decided that their name wasn't prominent enough in the name, so it's now Microsoft 365. So we've been supporting that since day one. We've added support for all aspects of Microsoft Teams back in April of 2020. So that's been available for a while. More recently, we've added support for Google Drive. So all of your data just stored in the drive, in those drive folders, is backed up automatically. But this includes any data, if instead of the Office 365 apps, you're using the Google Workspace apps like Docs, Google Sheets, or Slides, we're backing up that data too. If you've ever used Google Drive or any of these applications, if you take a look, you go through Windows Explorer, whatever else you're using to get there, and you take a look at those, the file names, what you'll see is they're actually 0 bytes. Now, you know that you've typed more than 0 characters. You've typed at least one, probably several thousand, if not millions, millions of bytes when you get to the images and everything. So where does that pointer go to? Well, it points to where Google has stored that data. Where is that? I don't know. Some process inside Google knows, because when you double click on that pointer, you get to the data. But it's really transparent and doesn't do that. So if you just did a straight file backup of Google Drive, you'd get these 0-length pointers, and when you went to restore them, they probably wouldn't point to the same place anymore. So what we do is we actually extract the documents completely, so that we can ensure that they're backed up, so that you could now restore them to a different place or export them. Again, for example, in the case of a legal hold. So we have many more SaaS options that we're working on. You'll see some of those released in the months ahead. So while SaaS applications are very convenient, many organizations are finding that they increase the difficulty of complying with regulations like Sarbanes-Oxley, FINRA, or SEC 17A-4. You'll recognize that one if you've done business with any of the financial firms. Otherwise, it probably doesn't apply to you. So in general, when you're talking about compliance, there's three phases. Setting the rules, that's easy. Enforcing them, okay, well, that's more difficult. And, being able to prove that you're in compliance with those rules, either for an audit or just for your own peace of mind, that can be very, very difficult. So to make it simpler, Hubstore provides full message journaling for Exchange, Microsoft 365, Teams, Slack, and several other chat applications, ensuring that every message is captured as well as any attachments. You also have the choice of which region you're going to use for storing specific data, which will automate your compliance with any data sovereignty regulations that apply to your business. So for organizations that want to do even more with Hubstore, we have a complete and thorough software development kit, or SDK. The kit includes complete documentation of our entire API-first architecture. And we also provide some sample applications that can act as good guidelines as you start to develop your own. We have a few customers who are using our SDK to build custom data connectors to backup applications that we don't support currently. For example, a few enterprises have some things that they've developed in-house. You aren't going to be able to find a commercial backup product that actually interfaces directly with that application. So you can use Hubstore's API and set up and your application's API and get things automated for you there. And in some cases, our customers are integrating Hubstore directly into their own applications. So if you're interested in getting some more information about Hubstore solutions, you'll see here in the client that you're watching this presentation through, up in the upper left-hand corner, you should see the word handouts. If you go in there, you can download a solution brief from us in the handler section. In the handout section. So that will help give you, a more thorough idea than just the diagrams I put on the slides here. If you're so excited about anything you've seen and you just want to take it for a test drive yourself, you can actually start using Hubstore right now to protect your virtual machines for vSphere, Hyper-V, or Azure VMs. There's no complex buying process. You just sign up and you can be operational and protecting those VMs within minutes. If you want a better understanding of whether you'd want a dedicated or even a self-hosted Hubstore instance, or whether month-to-month pay-as-you-go or a subscription agreement would be better for your organization, contact us. We'll have a solution engineer sit down, and they'll be very happy to walk you through all the options, talk to you about what it is specifically you want to back up, and with that information, they can work with you to find the most cost-effective solution for your data protection needs. And if you're unsure of anything else, hey, just contact us. Feel free to throw us your questions, and we will take care of them. Obviously, if you have any other questions, I hope you've been entering them in the question section here in this client. And that wraps me up.
Great presentation, Dave, as always. I really appreciate that. We do have some questions for you. While we do that, I'm just going to bring up the poll here for the audience that we always do that says, what additional information would you like about the Hubstore solution? And I'll leave that up. I encourage everyone to respond to that poll. We do appreciate it. Let's see, Dave, first question I see that came in here, they're asking, they say, you said people are moving away from big applications. Aren't there still a lot of companies running databases on Oracle or SAP?
So yes, there are. A lot of people have migrated to the cloud by, rewriting their applications to be cloud native. To try to build a cloud native version of Oracle or SAP, nobody outside of Oracle or SAP wants to tackle a job that big. It would be millions and millions of lines of code to get that far. So while you're using that, you can run Oracle or SAP on virtual machines. Oracle will try to convince you that you have to use their hypervisor, but it's not true. They give full support for a lot of for many customers. They're giving full support for whether you're using vSphere or Hyper-V. So that would be one way we can provide backups for that. And if we see a lot of demand for it, we may. I want to be very precise in my language. If we see the demand, we would certainly look into creating connectors specifically for those applications.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. Next question. They said here, data centers still cost money to run. So how can they be a value add? I think that's in response to a point you made in the presentation.
Yeah. So yes, obviously, if you're running data center on premises, or if you're paying for cloud services from someone, yes, there is a cost. Where the value add comes in is by making sure that data is always available quickly to your business flow and process. If your retail businesses like Amazon or anyone else who would order products from online, that database and that ordering system needs to be available 24/7, 365 to your customers. You can't afford downtime. So they're providing a value add by giving you that high availability. God forbid you get hit by ransomware or something else. Your value add here is that you don't have to go to the FBI and you don't have to pay any ransom. You can restore everything to some point in time before that and be back up and running again. The other thing is that if you are putting all of your data, a lot of people talk about data lake. Recently, there's no specific definition of that other than you've got data stored from multiple sources in one place. Well, that's great, but data by itself isn't of any value. It's just ones and zeros when you come down to it. But what you can do with it, the insight you can gain from the data, partly enhanced by some really good searches like Hubstore provides. You can find out what's going on and get some insight from the data to help you adjust your processes to lead you towards more profitability. Well, that's considered a huge value add.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Another question here. What exactly is the Hubstore Web App?
So Hubstore Web App is, you'll see it as a URL that you'll put in your location bar in your browser. So that would point you. You'll connect to one of our servers in the cloud, and that would be what you log in. So you can manage your Hubstore backup jobs, monitor everything from anywhere you are. You can even use the browser on your phone if all of us like to actually be able to take some time off on our weekends, but having run data centers myself, and then several of you may be running data centers, you kind of always had that little thing at the back of your mind saying, well, is everything going okay? Well, great. If I can just glance at my phone while I'm at the amusement park with my family, waiting in line, I can look and say, yep, everything's running fine, and I don't have to know that I don't have to worry about it. Or if somebody calls in and has an emergency call, they need to restore, great. I can restore what the data they're looking for from that phone, and hopefully have it done before we make it to the front of the line, because I don't want to be using my phone in that way during the roller coaster.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay. Excellent. Let's see. It looks like we're running out of time here in our live Q&A, Dave. I'm afraid I really enjoyed chatting here about this. Lots of great questions coming in. I've put the remaining questions in the folder there for you if you have time to respond to those. We would appreciate it. It's great to have you on, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And again, thank you, everybody, for taking the time for this. If you have put a question into the queue there, I will stay on long enough afterwards to make sure I've answered all of them, and I'll make the answers public so that more than the rest of you can benefit from the answers to someone else.